more and it would have hit. The worst part is they were aiming to hit. The grasshopper asks what her problem is. If she had been a little slower, she could have hurt those creatures. But Commander says that won't happen. She never misses a target. She says Fenkeek remains confident as always, and it's been a long time since they last saw each other. But Kiki doesn't pay much attention and asks what the heck she's doing there. The grasshopper asks her not to be so fierce. She's no monster. She's only there because she's following her king's order. But then suddenly the woman disappears. Our MC realizes she really is very fast. The grasshopper says that according to intelligence, the main dragon army has split into two forces. The problem is they don't know in which one the general is. Part of the army is coming towards them, and her king was worried she wouldn't be enough to handle the attack. So he ended up sending her there. If they surrender like this, they can spend some time together. The girl continues to provoke Kiki. She just says she'll spend a few days there. She doesn't need to be so petty. But Kiki says she knows very well what she's doing, so she better leave the camp now. The princess arrives, tells Kiki to stop, or she'll tell the queen mother. She says okay, she understood, but whatever happens from now on, she will no longer be responsible. The princess apologizes, but the grasshopper says it's okay, they were just kidding. Apparently Vivi has a big problem. The grasshopper found her very cute too. Apparently, she won't be able to escape the grasshopper's clutches. But that's when our MC calls for her. He says there's a camp nearby, and if she wants, she can stay there. The grasshopper approaches, saying that's great, and thanks him. Our MC introduces himself, saying his name is Xiafeng, the king of insects, but king of insects of the yellow tribe, but if she wants, she can also just call him Xiafeng, and it's all good. But our MC is inviting her for a totally different reason. He doesn't want to be nice. He wants another guard. That way Billy won't be able to bother him, saying he can't go too deep. She says our MC is very small. Being an insect king, she imagined he would be much bigger. But our MC replies he became an insect king by accident. Our MC thinks what he wants most now is to trap her there with him. Next he calls for you. Xiaofeng says the grasshopper will live with them for a while, so please, she should take care of the girl. And Yu asks if she needs anything at that moment. She tries to think of something. And thinks of something, but this time she's not going to hold back. She picks you up and says goodbye to our MC. I can already imagine what will happen. Poor little you. But someone has to sacrifice, right? The scene changes to our MC in Wai Wei. And she still remains suspicious, asking if it could be him. But our MC is much more worried about the cards. She says she lost again, but this time she won't play anymore. She would never be able to beat Shifeng, the king of insects. Our MC thinks he really is unbeatable. But that's when he realizes what she said. He says that's not possible, him, the king of insects. But she thinks it really is him. His expression gave him away. She tells him to give up. She knows he's the king of insects, but says this is incredible. He can transform into a wasp king. Our MC asks her if she also has a clone in this world, but she says she won't tell. She has a body, but it's a secret. Realizing he's freaking out, she's always by his side, and the name is very similar. Could she be Vivi? For him, this is impossible. She finds all this very funny, but really, their personalities are very different. The story takes us to the assembled dragon army. Xiafeng observes from afar. He comments that there are about 50 to 60,000 soldiers there. Grasshopper comments that at least the dragon general isn't there. She explains that even though they left at the same time as the grasshopper king, his army is longer, so it took longer to arrive. If they get rid of the dragons in 3 days, they'll still be able to fight the general. From afar, our MC sees an intermediary arriving. Arriving there, she goes directly to the insects and our MC. She says the fight will take place at noon. Believe it or not, her audacity increases. She tells everyone to enjoy the remaining time. Digging scoffs. She imagined 4 star dragons would be stronger. Another commander says he's ready for combat. That's when Kiki says she won't be left behind. She's gonna combat too. And we can't forget this little guy. Remember, this one has already buried many dragons. Many indeed. The general says he and his men have to be the front. They have the most armor, so he has to advance first. Our MC realizes none of the generals want to yield. They all want to be the first to advance. But he definitely won't participate in this dispute. But that's when they say the insect king will make the decision. Yeah, folks, apparently it's gonna fall on our MC. He even thinks, could there be another insect they're talking about? Is it really him? But unfortunately, it's definitely him. Kiki says it has to be him. After all, he's a king. The grasshopper finds it interesting and agrees with this. Whoever says it's time, let Xiafeng decide. But a commander disagrees and just thinks the women are crazy. They want our MC to organize the formation. The other commander also doesn't agree that our MC should do this. But the women ask if he's saying he despises them. And he says no, clearly he didn't mean that. He reflects that women have always had disagreements, never stood by each other, but now they want to be united. What's happening, man? But okay, if there's no solution, they'll listen to our MC's plan. If they follow that formation, everyone will be able to fight at the same time, regardless of order, so there's no argument. Kim questions why is her army at the end of the line. But our MC says her army has greater long-range power, so he prefers this army to stay in the rear, so they can shoot more enemies with ease. She says, okay, believe it or not, this makes some sense. The big guy pats our MC's back, saying he did a good job. He also apologizes, apparently he underestimated our MC. He will definitely be a great warrior in the future. Our MC, poor guy, is almost dying there from the big guy's pats. It seems he didn't realize the boy is small and weak. The scene changes to the enemy army. The leader notices it's noon. Finally, the combat will begin. He asks his army if they're ready for the banquet. And since the army confirmed, he orders everyone to advance. So, the dragons advance to attack. The wasps aren't far behind, they're also ready for combat. The beetles follow by land. The battle is about to begin. The chaos is still going wild on the battlefield. This time, the long-range troops have already started firing, taking out dragons that haven't even reached the front lines. Over in the thick of it, the giant beetles are holding the line, tanking everything. They absorb the attacks while the other troops do a general cleanup. The hammerhead dragon even admits the insects are pretty efficient. However, he knows the battle will be decided by the strongest among them. Just then, the 7 5-star dragon generals storm the battlefield. The scumbags show up immediately looking for the insect commanders. Speaking of which, they're already on the front lines, but there are only 4 of them. This just got real ugly. The math doesn't add up 7 against 4. BLO White haunts them, saying they're all just 5-star dragons, but the other general warns her that if she's getting cold feet, she can just run to the back. The flying beetle asks how they're going to split the enemies since there are 7 of them. The red beetle keeps it simple, they'll take on all 7 at once, and whoever takes out the most wins. From a distance, Yang Xiaofeng is watching the whole situation, thinking things might get more complicated with 7 generals showing up. Zipping up right next to him, the Mantis general tells him not to worry, because the 4 of them can handle it. He says okay, but wonders why she's getting so close. Well, the generals are more than ready for a fight. Man, this red beetle is no joke. They say years ago, he got tired of rolling, well you know, and started rolling this bad boy around instead. If this thing lands on your foot, it's gonna hurt, but if it hits your head, it's a fatality, game over. Kicking off the party, the archer general is the first to make a move. She fires off several arrows at once, almost nailing all the generals, though a few manage to dodge at the last second. Big Red doesn't fall behind and attacks right after. He tells the enemy generals to try and handle this boulder. Too bad he doesn't directly hit anyone. But on the bright side, he completely obliterates the ground around them. BLY attacks too, materializing right behind an enemy. Except she used her ability to get, like, 50 times bigger. The enemy general even comments that she's almost the size of the Dragon King. Another general, who looks like a parrot, says that's a bunch of nonsense. That whole thing is just for show, she's all size and nothing else. Activating his own power. He says he's just gonna stand there and tank her attack, no problem. Now with his power maxed out, he tells her to bring everything she's got. At first, he actually managed to hold his ground. He was handling the pressure just fine, but he just couldn't hold on for very long. See? If he had just moved out of the way, he'd still be in one piece. He was stubborn, tried to block the attack, and look at that, he went bye-bye. Seeing all this, the Mantis general says she's not going to be left behind. Here on the battlefield, there's no shortage of fallen bodies. So, she begins to activate her special ability, injecting her bar into the downed creatures. She manages to turn them all into zombies. Basically, the enemy troops are now hers, and they are more than ready for combat. Seeing that the situation is looking pretty grim, 2 generals ask an ally if his ability is ready yet. Confirming that it is, he starts to activate it. Apparently, this ability is an area of effect attack. I mean, not an attack, but an area of effect isolation field. Now, the 6 remaining generals have the upper hand besides the ability buff. The other insect generals are trapped with no way out. The serpent dragon is the first to strike, activating its fear ability to try and paralyze all the insect generals. The dinosaur dragon launches its plasma attack. The pygmy dragon launches its fire attack. The pitbull dragon attacks with his giant teardrop. Yeah, I called him a pitbull. What are you gonna do? But tell me he doesn't look like one. Anyway, the buffalo dragon attacks with his swarm of clones. BLOY is the first to get hit and is pierced straight through the chest. The troops that Feng Li took control of also start to fall. The ones that weren't taken out by the ranged attack are being knocked down by the bull. BLLY warns her comrade that because of this, her position is now exposed. Unfortunately, they messed up their strategy. The archer says it's no problem, they can go all out, and she'll provide support from the rear. The red beetle, who's no longer a dung roller, says that's exactly right, they need to push forward and clear the front. Noticing that some of his troops are still standing, Feng Li orders them all to advance. The weirdest part is that he used his ability not just on enemies, but also on allies who had already fallen. This guy really spares no one. The Cobra Dragon doesn't get what's happening, questioning why they aren't frozen with fear. His ability was supposed to leave everyone paralyzed. BOY gets ticked off hearing this, like, afraid of you dragons. They left that whole feeling fear thing behind a long time ago. The archer adds that's exactly right, the only thing left is hatred. She also lost an important comrade to these scumbags. For Feng Li, the story wasn't much different. There was a battle where he lost his entire army. As for our boy, the Red Beetle, he had to bury all his comrades by himself. With that said, attacking all together, they finally managed to break through the barrier. Tell me, how could you feel anything other than pure hatred? Yang Xiaofeng, watching from afar, agrees that his generals are truly strong. From a distance, a new dragon appears, clapping his hands. He says he didn't expect to find such strong opponents among the insects, admitting they managed to surprise him. The archer asks if he's the high commander of those beasts. Introducing himself, the Earth Dragon confirms it, saying he's the great son of General so-and-so. He asks if those troops are after the great general, stating that he doesn't plan to drag out the fight and has a proposal. An ugly pink creature tells the dragons to get out of the way, but with zero kindness for its allies move it. You useless bugs. Can't you see they want to get through? The Earth Dragon continues, saying his father's nest is beyond the mountains. If they go there now, they'll be able to catch his army. As for them, they'll just stay put, because all they want is peace and to leave. Of course, the commanders don't believe a word of it. The archer even tells the dragon to get on his knees. And maybe she'll consider it. But the Red Beetle cuts her off immediately, saying no way. It's much easier for them to just steamroll everyone. No negotiations, to avoid any risk of betrayal. The Earth Dragon just laughs at the situation, commenting that he was just trying to be a nice guy. Until now, they've only fought against useless minions. He originally intended to spare everyone's lives, but he didn't imagine they'd be so stupid. But that's fine. If it's an end they're looking for, it's an end they'll get. The Red Beetle tells him to stop showing off and being so arrogant. If he's all that tough, then he should try and catch this little ball. The Earth Dragon can only laugh at this, seeing the beetle as just a brute. With incredible ease, he manages to stop the steel ball. But it would have been nice if that's all he did, right? The jerk didn't just stop the ball. He also managed to throw it right back. Let's just say this caught the Red Beetle a little bit by surprise. Unable to dodge his own weapon, he takes a direct hit. Luckily, the beetle is pretty tough till he gets hit, but it doesn't do much damage. BLLY asks if he's okay, and he says yeah, but that guy over there is probably a tough nut to crack. The Earth Dragon tells them to stop messing around. It's better if they all come at once so he can show them the difference between superior and inferior creatures. Charging forward, BLLY says he's all alone, so everyone just needs to give it their all. The Red Beetle agrees, saying it doesn't matter how strong he is, there's a limit to how much he can take. Too bad they didn't realize this was exactly what the Earth Dragon wanted. As soon as all the troops get close to him, he uses his Wave Force Field ability. With that, he simply sends everyone flying. Even for the 4 great generals, it's tough to resist that ability. The Earth Dragon laughs at it all because in the end, the great generals can't even scratch him. Summoning his fallen generals, he says it's time for a second round. BLLY doesn't get it. What do you mean? Those jerks are still standing. The archer replies that it's no problem if they got up. They just have to knock them down again. From a distance, our MC asks who that guy blocking the general's attacks is. The mantis explains that he's a superior great dragon, even stronger than the others. Our boy didn't quite get it, so the mantis explains that the so-called dragon generals are just partners of the dragon queen, a way she found to maintain a stronger bloodline. But the superior grade dragon beasts are direct descendants of that bloodline. In the end, she asks if he's scared, and he says no, just a little surprised. Hearing this, she tells Yang Xiaofeng that if the situation gets worse, he should run from there as fast as he can. After that, the crazy girl activates her ability and simply vanishes. Yang Xiaofeng reflects that the opponent is no ordinary enemy and decides he's not going to just stand around waiting for something to happen. As soon as he gets to the camp, he runs into the armored dragon praying, saying that he's completely done for. But that pressure he felt before, there's no doubt. It can only be from a descendant of the Dragon Queen. If that guy even dreams that the armored dragon is siding with the insects, he's a goner on the spot. Hearing this, the MC shows up and says that if he wants to leave now, he can go. Surprised, the dragon asks if he can really leave. Our hero confirms it and even frees him from his shackles. There, now he's free. He says that since they've known each other for a long time, the armored dragon surely has some information the dragons would like to know, so he can go and tell them if he wants. The dragon wonders if he misjudged the MC this whole time. But hey, he's not gonna be the one to stick around and find out if the kid set him free. He's free. Huawei suddenly appears, asking if he's really going to let the dragon go just like that. Without worrying, he'll tell the enemies everything. Our hero replies that if it can divert the dragon's attention a bit and ease the pressure on the battlefield for the commanders, it'll be perfect. Huawei asks if he's planning to use him as bait, and he confirms it. The girl says she gets it then. Our MC is immediately suspicious. Is she really Princess Huawei? Her human version was never this understanding. He thinks it can't be her. No way. Well, Huawei says she wants to help too, and he agrees. He asks her to wait a moment while he makes some preparations. Wei agrees but warns him that she'll be the one piloting the mecha armor. Man, the MC stops in his tracks, like, what do you mean? Wei argues that in the simulation training, she was the best, so it's only fair that she pilots it. He asks if she's really Princess Wei. Smiling, she confirms that it's her. With not much he can do, our hero can only feel down. After all, he assembled it, designed it, and sweated to build the armor, and in the end, he won't even get to pilot it. Back on the battlefield, the Earth Dragon says that BLLY's strength is incredible and it would be a waste for her to bite the dust there, so he offers her a chance to live. He says the universe is much vaster than she imagines, and what she's seen so far isn't even a fraction of it. If she joins his ranks, he will show her the universe as it truly is, giant and magnificent. But if she doesn't want to, she can fall right there, the choice is hers. Suddenly, one of the generals behind him is hit by a mysterious power, and the pygmy dragon is about to be devoured by another one. The Earth Dragon tries to figure out if this is the ability of that sneaky mantis, the so-called necromancer. In the end, he concludes that his generals are a bunch of trash. Yeah, I also thought they had gotten up on their own, not because they were possessed. Since he's a superior great dragon, he easily eliminates the zombie cobra. After that, he turns to the zombie dinosaur dragon. Freeing his two generals who are still alive, he tells them to stay back, out of the way. Our buddy Feng Li gets a little annoyed by this, unfortunately. His sneak attacks didn't work. BLLY tells the Earth Dragon to shove his proposal in the deepest, darkest place in his body, if you catch my drift. The dragon says that's fine, at least he tried, but they're all a bunch of ungrateful wretches. Before the blow gets close, he manages to dodge it, immediately launching a counterattack. He goes straight for Feng Li, who is isolated. However, our mantis general appears just in time. By a hair's breadth, her comrade was about to be sent packing. The mantis says that, aside from the wave power, the dragon is totally useless. After saying that, she slams him into the ground with one blow. To top it off, she even taunts the other generals, calling them useless for not even being able to hurt that punching bag and that maybe they should just retire. The archer replies that maybe it would be better to take her down instead of the dragon. BLLY agrees, while the mantis just thinks it's all starting again, because it seems like these ladies are always on a hair trigger. The red beetle says the enemy is powerful and that if possible, it's better for them to team up to defeat him. Feng Li says his wave ability is hard to deal with, so the best strategy is to fight in shifts to drain all his star power. The Earth Dragon gets up from the hole, calling everyone's comebacks. From a distance, watching the massive brawl, the female dragon Garuda thinks that the insects are really tough to handle. One of her subordinates approaches, saying they've captured a 3-star dragon who claims to have escaped from the insects. This makes Garuda a little curious. Now face to face with the commander, the armored dragon bows. Garuda asks if he was really taken prisoner by insignificant insects. Being a first-class liar, he says no, that he was actually undercover gathering information. Leaving the dragon aside, in the next scene, we see Wei waking up in her human body. The girl doesn't quite understand why Yang Xiaofeng asked her to switch bodies. Speaking of him, the madman appears out of nowhere in his giant wasp form. Clearly, the girl gets a fright, as she didn't expect to see him there in that body. She even smacks him with a pillow. Our hero tries to explain that it's an ability he gained when he became the Insect King, the kind of place-swapping skill. He says he'll explain the details later because right now it's time to deal with the current crisis. A little embarrassed by her scare, the girl says okay. She asks what he wants to do next. Our hero remembers she said she was going to pilot the mecha, and if she's really going to do that, he has a plan. He explains that the Dragon King's full recovery is approaching, so that place is no longer safe. However, he plans to get the Dragon King's body out of there before that happens, so the beast's flesh can be distributed to strengthen everyone. Wei asks if he's really thinking of devouring the Dragon King's body. Starting to shout, she asks if he's gone crazy, and what if the king wakes up? Our hero says it's fine because he's done it before, several times. He comments that the Dragon King's flesh is not only incredibly delicious, but also helps you get stronger, and it makes your skin radiant. Wei was thinking about not giving in to temptation, but she reflects that eliminating the Dragon King would be excellent for the Galactic Empire, and as a princess, it's her duty to make sacrifices for it. Sometime later, back in his hut with the body, RMC thinks it's not bad at all, as there's way more meat than last time. Just then, an oar suddenly begins to emerge behind him. The spirit of the Dragon King asks who injured his body, promising to tear the person to pieces. Our hero just stands there listening, but he doesn't see anyone and even wonders if he's hallucinating. Well, he doesn't have much time to waste, so it's better to get this over with. With that said, off he goes to chop up the entire Dragon King. After a while, we see Xiaomo arriving at the MC's tent, flying in a great hurry. Once inside the tent, he comes in shouting that there's a huge problem. However, he's not the only one with a problem. Our little MC is also having trouble cutting that head. Our hero asks what's wrong, and Xiaomo replies that a massive group of dragon beasts is heading their way. But, looking at the MC's body, the little guy wonders why he's covered in so much blood. Xiaomo tells him not to worry about that right now. First, it's better for him to gather everyone and prepare for the approaching enemy. Looking at that head, the MC says okay, he can't waste any more time there, and there wouldn't be that much meat anyway. It's time to throw the piece of junk away, placing the head on the ground. Our hero gives it a kick like it's a soccer ball. Of course, this is very convenient for him, because in the end, no one will know that was the Dragon King's flesh, since they don't even have the head anymore. In the next scene, the MC's camp has already been invaded. The armored dragon points out that this is the place he was talking about. The pipple dragon finds it strange as the tents are empty. Where are the insects? Garuda also questions where the Insect King is, since the armored dragon said he would be there. The little dragon replies that, well, they probably ran away. Garuda does not like hearing that one bitten asks if he's messing with her. But actually, our little MC didn't run, he's right there in the nearest mountain. Thinking that the armored dragon really didn't disappoint him, and did everything he wanted. He notices that the 5-star dragons who were fighting the commanders also showed up. This is unexpected, but it's not bad news. Since they're here, they might as well get a warm welcome. Yang Xiaofeng gives the order for all his wasps to fire. From there on out, everyone gets a birthday candle to blow out. Garuda panics immediately, yelling that it was all an ambush and that the group of insects was lying in wait on the hill. The probability of survival in this attack was definitely very low. Those who weren't taken out directly were probably finished off by the toxic smoke. Yang Xiaofeng announces that it's time for the second army to join the battle. It's trying to cut off the escape routes for the runaways and, if possible, trap everyone in a net. Huh? In the next scene we see our MC tied up. Wai Wei arrives with her mecha and asks what happened. Why on earth is he tied to a tree? After understanding the situation, the girl eyes laughing. The MC made the entire attack plan, and in the end, he was tied up by his own subordinates to keep him from going to the battlefield. After sorting out his situation, he asks Wai Wei what she thinks of the mecha armor. The girl replies that, so far, she hasn't found it difficult at all. The only annoying thing is that she's in a powerful 4-star armor and hasn't even gotten to use it yet. Leaving those to a side, we see the enemy commanders retreating. However, as soon as they spot something, they stop in their tracks. Their escape route has been cut off by a gigantic army. The Red Beetle apologizes but informs them that, unfortunately, their escape route has been cut off. Back to the MC and the princess, Wai Wei is praising the boy, saying it's incredible that he managed to build that armor just from scrap metal. But she remembers there was a lot of scrap metal there, so why didn't he just build a 5 or 6-star armor? Well, the boy says it's not that easy. He explains that all 5-star and above mecha armors are custom-made and specialized. Forcing that type of armor onto an inferior frame ends up putting the pilot's life at risk and makes it impossible to pilot. Approaching the battlefield, the boy realizes that, unfortunately, the fight has already started. Our dear general is facing off against the pygmy dragon. She's using her spear strike ability, but the enemy's healing capacity is much greater. To try and end the situation, she activates her giant spear, and even manages to land a really hard smack on the scumbag's head. But as cool as the image looked, in reality, the attack wasn't effective at all. It literally had no effect. To make matters worse, now the pygmy is preparing a counterattack. He activates his reflector cannon and finishes off Feng Li. As for Big Red's fight, we see him trying to attack. His opponent is that darn pitbull. Even though Big Red has enough strength, he doesn't have the speed to hit the enemy. But the enemy has more than enough speed and damage to hit him. The dog, at an absurd speed, starts attacking from several different points. With that, unfortunately, Big Red is also defeated. Our dear Mantis Flower calls out for her master, clearly worried. But she'd better worry about her own enemy. As she's a 4-star warrior, she can handle the attacks pretty well. She not only dodges but also defends. The problem is that Garuda comes in for a direct attack, and lands right on top of her while she was defending against the other attacks. And so, our Mantis girl kind of couldn't handle it and was defeated too. The little dog even says that he really couldn't do much against the insect generals, but it's kind of funny that mere level 4 or 3 soldiers thought they had a chance. Garuda says that really, only the Insect King was missing, while the little mosquito and the Red Beetle are back there, scared to death. But they didn't need to be so scared because reinforcements finally arrived. Wai Wei has all 3 generals in her sights. She starts firing an absurd amount of shots at the 3 of them. After a while and a bit roughed up, the dog looks up to try and understand where that attack came from. Oh, my friend, you better not even look up and just start running. In the next scene, we see the armored dragon waking up. He doesn't quite understand what happened or why he's still alive, because he should have been a goner in that attack. Yu appears and says he's finally awake, but the armored dragon asks why she's there. Yu explains that the soldiers on patrol found him collapsed, abandoned, and wounded. The dragon says he understands, but asks why she saved him, since he's still a dragon beast. He replies that the Insect King trusts him, so they trust him too. As she leaves, she says his wound has just been treated and it would be best if he didn't go wandering around. Momo, who's right behind her, warns that he'll be keeping an eye on the rascal and that if he screws up, he won't live to tell the tale. The dragon's no fool, right? As soon as they left, he left too. If they find out he betrayed the insects, he's finished, so he needs to get out of there as fast as possible. The problem is, where is he going to go? He's already considered a traitor by the dragon beast, so where else can he go but stay? The female soldiers nearby start talking about the dragon. After all, he's still a dragon beast, and they're in the middle of a war against the dragons themselves, so it's normal for them to hold a bit of a grudge. He's lucky he has the MC's protection, because otherwise, they warn that they would have already turned him into jerky. After walking a bit more, the armored dragon comments that he finally found it. That right there is the collar young Xiaofeng made for him. The dragon never thought there would be a day he'd be so happy to wear that contraption, but let's just say this collar is like a life insurance policy. Looking to the side, he sees a soldier wasp shouting, telling everyone there's a huge problem. A message just arrived from the front. Captain Feng Li and her team have been defeated by the dragons. And now, what? What should they do? Help her stay at the base. The armored dragon reflects that this is all his fault, as he was the one who led the dragons there. With that said, the madman dashes off. It's just hard to understand why he's doing this. The rascal says he'll do his best to make up for his mistake and even asks the MC to wait for him, because help is on the way. Back on the battlefield, the pygmy dragon is shooting everywhere, desperate to it Wei. But what he doesn't see is that, right behind him, magic is surrounding Feng Li. We see it was the MC, using his substitution magic. Watching the battle unfold, Garuda comments that she never imagined there was such a powerful figure among the insects. She thinks her strength is at least at the 5-star level, while Garuda is commenting. Our little MC is in the back trying to rescue the mantis, of course, without her noticing. Everything was going well, until the dummy steps on a branch. Garuda looks over immediately, and our hero is like, I'm not here. She asks if he's the so-called insect king. Sweating bullets? The boy says no, definitely not, no way. Flying away super fast, he says they'll talk later because he's busy right now and has to go. But from up high, Wei notices the MC's being chased. She was even rushing to try and help, but that darn dog asks where she's going. The princess says this dog is a clingy pest, but if he wants to meet his end, that's fine. She stops to face the dragon, but the jerk immediately activates his ability. However, the princess is very good at what she does and manages to stop the attack with just her foot. She literally steps into the dog's ability and attacks with hers, or directly in his mouth. Since the sword is very long, it manages to go through the dog's head. As if the first one wasn't enough, she stabs him with the second one, finishing tearing the little dog apart. She says she's leaving because she's in a hurry. Wei rushes to rescue the MC, but she doesn't see the incoming attack. Since she didn't see it, the jerk's attack ended up hitting the girl, even causing a forced landing. You can see the damage to the armor was pretty significant. Inside, the mech's computer goes into alert mode, warning that damage has been detected in the thruster and the fusion power line has been compromised. For the mecha to function with this damage, the computer activates the backup power, but the remaining operation time will be only 30 minutes. Knowing she only has 30 minutes, Wei gets mad as hell, saying that the pygmy has signed his own death warrant. But he just replies, "Bring it on, my friend, bring it on." While those two are about to start their fight, our MC is still being chased. The boy has already figured out that no matter how fast he runs, he can't shake the darn girl. Garuda even tells him not to run and asks why he doesn't want to play with his big sis. Slowing down a bit, the MC realizes his stamina is almost gone and he's definitely going to get caught. Just then, looking down, he sees the red beetle and the little mosquito running from a pig dragon. The beetle says he'll stay behind to hold off the creature while the little mosquito runs. Young Xiaofeng wanted to help, but the situation on his end isn't looking too good. But actually, he can take advantage of her getting closer. The boy starts to perform the spatial substitution directly with the pig dragon. In the blink of an eye, he swaps places and is now safe. The one who's not safe is the pig dragon, who doesn't even know what happened. In fact, he's probably thinking, dude, that was a dirty move, wasn't it? What was even dirtier was Garuda's move. The poor thing didn't even have a chance to dodge. She just collided with the pig dragon and went down. When the two hit the ground, the explosion was gigantic. The little pig was knocked out instantly, and if he, who fell from that height, is in this state, imagine Garuda who's underneath him. Our little MC reflects that this time was a close call. The little mosquito congratulates the boy, saying he managed to take down two dragons at once, something truly worthy of a king. He's not too happy about it, because if everyone had listened to him from the start, no one would be in danger. But that's okay, he's not there to fight with anyone. It's time to move on and face the rest of the generals. He asks the little mosquito to take good care of the mantis while he's on his way. Meanwhile, back on the battlefield, Wei continues to beat up on the pygmy. She smashed the dragon on the head with her sword. Then, she throws him far away. As if that wasn't enough, she fires several beams in his direction. Since the poor guy can't react, he just takes all the damage. But you know how it is, right? No matter how big the explosion, the sucker is tough. See, Wei even comments that the guy is pretty resilient. Not to mention the absurd regeneration. Looking through the mecha, she sees that he's still alive, a bit dazed, but still alive. This is starting to make her angry. She doesn't understand when this is going to end. But to put a stop to it, she says she's going to cut him in half. The poor dragon just ducks waiting for the hit. But, funny thing, the hit is taking a while to come. Actually, shouldn't it have come already? Oh, man. He opens his eye and realizes the mecha has just stopped. Inside, the computer warns that the power has been completely drained. The mecha will enter sleep mode, and since the pilot is in danger, it will enter emergency evacuation mode. Too bad that, in reality, she won't be able to eject. The pygmy is taking the opportunity to tear the mecha to shreds. One arm, he's already managed to rip off. Seeing that he's going to destroy even more, the little beast is overjoyed. Look at the face on that jerk. Inside, Wei just curls up, knowing there's no escape. The only thing she can do is call out for Yang Xiaofeng. The boy is coming from a distance, but he's rushing. He even activated his acceleration mode. To launch another attack, the pygmy starts concentrating his plasma ball. Our hero is running, but he realizes he's not going to make it in time. Whoa, hold on. But that's when the ground behind the pygmy starts to give way. Out of the hole comes the armored dragon, and he comes in with a flying kick right at the pygmy. He barely missed hitting Wei, but on the other hand, the surrounding scenery is completely destroyed. After the blast, the armored dragon grabs the pygmy, swings him around a few times, and throws him far, far away. After that, he runs to the armor to see if Yang Xiaofeng is okay. So that explains why he was helping so much. He's convinced the MC is inside the armor. Our hero, seeing this, says he's fine and that he can let go of the armor now. The dragon is totally confused. What does he mean he's not inside the armor? Then who is? Seeing that the MC isn't there, he drops the armor on the ground and says thank goodness the MC is okay. Too bad it won't be for long, because the pygmy dragon has already gotten up, saying that it seems the armored dragon really is a traitor. The dragon replies no, that in fact, they were the ones who forced him with numerous injustices. Now, it's not his fault for being disloyal. From now on, he will only serve those who treat him well, like the master up there. Besides, from now on, he's an enemy of all dragon beasts. The pygmy dragon is confused by the situation and even asks the MC what magic potion he gave the armored dragon. Our hero says he didn't give him anything, that even he doesn't understand what's going on. Wei gets out of the mecha shouting Yang Xiaofeng, saying that this dragon beast has an absurd defense and very strong regeneration. She tells him she tried to beat him in various ways, hitting him in several spots, but in the end, she didn't stand a chance. How little MC from above says he gets it. However, she should get back in the armor now, because it's too dangerous outside. He asks her to let him handle everything. The boy reflects that the opponent is a 5-star dragon, and even though he's worn out, he and the armored dragon, who are 3 stars, don't stand a chance, at least not in a comparison of strength. But if necessary, the armored dragon will have to be sacrificed. But that's when the armored dragon jumps towards him, warning him to be careful. Our hero got distracted for a second and didn't see the attack coming. Luckily, the armored dragon ran to push him out of the way. He barely avoided taking the direct hit. The armored dragon doesn't let it slide and goes after the pygmy. The two face off in a very intense clash. Actually, the pygmy comments that he's getting full of himself, because in the end, he's just a mere 3-star dragon. Our little MC is there on the ground, thinking he was saved. Therefore, he can't be ungrateful. If the armored dragon risked his life for him, then he'll risk his life for the armored dragon too. Yang Xiaofeng yells to the armored dragon, telling him to grab the armor and run to a safe place in a bit. The dragon apologizes but says that unfortunately, he can't even move, as the 2-star difference is starting to become apparent. Our hero says he doesn't need to worry, because he'll take care of it, activating his Gigodification ability. Right after, he releases the armored dragon's collar, and uses his substitution ability. With just one hand, he manages to hold back the pygmy, who can't understand how the MC can be so strong. Even though he's only using one palm, he should be much stronger. The boy says a 5-star dragon doesn't seem like a big deal, but the dragon reflects that even if strength isn't his strong suit, he shouldn't be overpowered by a 3-star insect. Grabbing the collar, our little MC says his friend won't be needing this anymore, so he fits it onto the pygmy. The pygmy gets furious about this and starts to activate his power, but the MC punches him in the mouth and tells him to shut up. Looking back, he asks the armored dragon if he's ready yet, but, running desperately, the armored dragon asks him to wait just a little longer. He sees the tunnel he had dug before, and it's definitely very safe there, so he throws the mecha in there, and then jumps in himself. Seeing that they're both safe, the MC activates his extreme speed, and gets the heck out of there. The pygmy doesn't quite get it and even thinks the MC is a coward for slapping him in the face and running. But what about that thing on his neck? What is that? Our little MC says he'll find out soon enough and even gives the pygmy a little wave. After that, the collar explodes. Man, and talk about a massive explosion. To check out the explosion, the armored dragon even digs his way over there. As soon as he gets out of the hole, he sees the pygmy's skull and comments that, thank goodness, the collar wasn't on his head. Yang Xiaofeng says the armored dragon was a great help. If it weren't for him, he definitely wouldn't have won, or would have won with losses. The little armored dragon says it's an honor to serve the great insect king. Yang Xiaofeng, seeing that he has won the armored dragon's loyalty, comments that it seems he can use the dragon's abilities, as long as he has a high level of loyalty. With that, our little MC gained another ability. In the next scene, we go back to that pig dragon that had fallen on top of Garuda. The witch emerges from inside the pig. Yeah, I figured she would have survived after all. She's a 4 or 5 star, so the chance of survival was high. She comes out of the pig looking for Yang Xiaofeng, but when she looks ahead, she sees the crater caused by the MC. Right away, she realizes that power is about 5 stars. Actually no, 6 or more. Unfortunately for her, the boy is still full of tricks, but a good dragon always knows when to retreat. But of course, she'll remember this and, sooner or later, she will have her revenge. Meanwhile, on the other battlefield, the Earth Dragon is furious with the attacks from our allies. Since they're always attacking, retreating, and taking turns, the dragon is already very worn out, but he has one last resort as true form. Summoning this form, we see that even his horn is grown. That's what this war business gets you. You go out to fight and get cheated on at home. If he was a cuckold before, now he's. His leg, which was a normal size before, has now quadrupled in size. Let's just say he turned into a body-ballad humanoid. From a distance, Feng Li tells him not to get so cocky, because his star power is still low, so he doesn't need to be so arrogant. The Earth Dragon says it's not arrogance, he's simply showing the truth, the great power he inherited from his father, the great general. With ease, he grabs the 2 zombie generals, saying that since they're no longer alive, they won't be mismatched either. Feng Li is shocked that his puppets were destroyed, and the worst part is that both were 5 stars. Our mantis woman comes from above, saying he looks ugly in this form. Incredibly, she manages to land a cut on the Earth Dragon's back, but it didn't even leave a scratch, and he immediately starts his counterattack. In the end, he manages to land a punch on her, sending the girl spinning and landing far away. Furious about this, the red beetle rips out a gigantic chunk of earth. He tells all the allies to get out of the way, and throws a piece of land, activating his 1 million ton throw ability. The Earth Dragon knows he's all brute force and no agility. There's no way he can escape that boulder. But since he's also brute force, that's no problem. He shatters the boulder with his fists. What he didn't expect was that the Archer General would be inside the boulder. She comes out with a perfect aim, locked onto the Earth Dragon. Using her abilities, she fires more than 1 arrow. Even though the Earth Dragon tries to defend himself, he ends up being hit by some of the projectiles. BLLY asks what's wrong. Didn't he say he was invincible? It sure doesn't look like it. She charges at the dragon with her spear. The spear almost gets him, but he manages to catch it. The problem is, the thing is gigantic and manages to drag him backward, dragging him to the point of knocking him down, and BLLY even tells him to go to hell. Well man, I didn't think she'd be able to penetrate, but she really ran him through with the spear. Luckily for the Earth Dragon, he still has a way out. He activates his Dragon's Breath ability, thus eliminating the general. I mean, he thought he eliminated her, right? She switched from her giant body to her original one. Now, she's coming in hot with her spear ability, but the Earth Dragon is messed up, but not out for the count. He stops the spear and shatters it in half, saying he might go to hell, but he's taking some of them with him for company. BLLY can't understand how this jerk still has so much star power. The wretch begins to condense all his energy. BLLY immediately realizes what it is and warns the red beetle to get as far away as possible. The Earth Dragon activates his shockwave ability, but this time with the power of self-destruction. With this, he causes a gigantic explosion. The funny thing is, the jerk is still alive. I thought he was sacrificing himself, but apparently, I was wrong. He asks the generals what they thought of his full power attack, but he said that not expecting an answer because to him, the generals were done for. But BLLY in the back says that, unfortunately, he's going to be disappointed. We see 3 of the 4 generals doing just fine. The Earth Dragon, now out of strength, just falls to the ground, disappointed that he couldn't take any of them with him. To make matters worse, his power begins to fade, and he shrinks back down to his small size. Garuda, who is flying high in the sky surveying the area, realizes her brother has been defeated. She immediately rushes to help. She grabs the Earth Dragon and simply flies away. Seeing all this, the archer says she's pretty bold, but unfortunately, she's not getting very far. The general fires her arrow towards Garuda, but unbelievably, the Earth Dragon still has a bit of strength left. He managed to summon his barrier and defend both himself and Garuda. Seeing that her brother is still alive, she asks if he's okay. He says yes, he's still alive and well, and that she doesn't need to worry. The only problem is that he's reached his limit. Garuda, crying, is furious for losing the battle and thinks there must be another way, but unfortunately, we know there isn't. The archer, watching the 2 leave from a distance, comments that the Earth Dragon's life force is truly surprising. BLLY says no, that the blow he took to the chest was completely fatal. Even if he has a surprising life force, in the end, it will be useless. But now they can declare victory. What's left is to clean up the lower level dragons. For anyone wondering where the 4th general was, there he is. Feng Li was under a pile of monsters. The explosion sent him flying. Funny how none of the other generals tried to help him. But back at our little MC's camp, the barbecue is in full swing, and they're making a toast to the greatest hero, the little armored dragon. Yang Xiaofeng says the armored dragon was essential to this victory. He was the one who led the enemy into the ambush, and without him, it wouldn't have been possible to save Princess Weiwei. It was thanks to his help that they managed to eliminate the 5-star dragon. The dragon says it was nothing. It was thanks to the chance Yang Xiaofeng gave him. Otherwise, nothing would have happened. Our hero says that's nonsense, that without him, the operation wouldn't have been so successful. Meanwhile, the commanders are there celebrating, but not so happily, right? In the end, all they did was get beat up. Seeing that little dog that was split in half being roasted, the armored dragon thinks that dragons also follow the law of the jungle, but with a rigid hierarchy, where low-star beasts can't eat the high-ranking ones. Calling him over, the MC says he's now going to share a piece of meat. This will be the armored dragon's reward, a gift to be more precise. The armored dragon immediately feels that fierce aura. That's definitely not just any meat. It can only be from a high-ranking one. Feng Li and Big Red instantly realize what kind of meat it is and even ask if the MC is really going to do this. But the boy says that everyone is family now and there's no reason to treat anyone differently. The armored dragon starts eating the meat, saying who cares? Anyway, he's not part of a dragon beast circle anymore. Today he's going to taste the meat of the big shots. After swallowing, he realizes the meat doesn't even have a taste. Whoa, no, wait a minute. The dragon starts to feel sick, and Yang Xiaofeng even asks if he's okay. The dragon says he's uncomfortable. It feels like his body is going to explode. Whoa, and that's when the beautiful little wings appear. No, wait, I don't think that was very proportional. I think the problem wasn't the wings, but the fact that he grew enormously. Look at how big he is now compared to the MC. Actually, the wings match his body quite well. It wasn't disproportionate, it was just the angle. Plus, now our armored dragon is at level 4, for stars. Yang Xiaofeng isn't happy about the situation, as he didn't expect the dragon to grow so much. Now, his size and power are probably greater than the MC's own subordinates. The little dragon, crying a lot, thanks the MC, and the boy says you're welcome. He says that in the end, he can just let it go. Now the dragon is also an ally, so that's a good thing. While the celebration is going on, Momo appears with his mosquito partner. He says he has news from the front. The enemy general has been technically eliminated, and the 50,000 dragon beasts have been completely wiped out. Everyone is happy with this news, and Feng Li even comments that this is a great victory, something that hasn't happened in the last 100 years. Xiaomo asks if this means they're going to march again, and if so, he'll go get ready. Our hero says no, that this time the journey ends here. None of his companions understand and ask why. He explains that everyone is injured and now they're without the mecha, so they can no longer counterattack 5-star dragon beasts. He says that, unfortunately, they are too weak now. On a battlefield like this, there is a small boat in the middle of a storm, and the risk of sinking is very high, so it's not worth it. The mosquito tries to say they trained a lot to get this far, and the mantis agrees, saying she wants to witness the great defeat of the dragon general. Feng Li says the MC is right, that a battlefield changes constantly, and that the insect generals won't be able to protect them all the time. Big Red agrees with her, saying that advancing recklessly is very dangerous. Yang Xiaofeng then says it's decided they're not continuing. Coincidentally, the Allied army is passing by at that very moment. The generals come down to meet the MC. The boy informs them he's not going to continue fighting, and the mantis immediately asks why. BLLY doesn't get it either, didn't he say? He wanted to go to the battlefield before? What happened now? Our hero says he realized the insufficiency of his own strength and that he and his allies need to get even stronger. Only then will they one day be able to retake the dragon territory on their own. The generals start to smile, saying the MC is quite arrogant, but an ambitious kind of arrogant. With the three of them flying, the beetle announces it's time to leave. BLLY says Okayan that they'll part ways here, hoping to see him again soon. The mantis grabs Yang Xiaofeng, saying she won't be able to live without him, but he says that actually, she should be leaving, right? She says that at least he should let her take them off. But Yu immediately starts shaking her head, saying no, she's staying with her brother and the king. The girl pleads with the MC not to send her with that crazy lady, but he reassures her, saying she's not going. The archer calls for the mantis to hurry up. She's dawdling too much, and they're both going to be left behind. Since there's no other way, the archer grabs her by the neck and starts dragging her away by force. Leaving our allies behind, we see Garuda crying for her brother. She begs him not to leave her alone, but I think he's already gone, right? While crying, she's also seething with anger, desperate for revenge. Whoa, that's when someone says she won't get it with words alone. The girl immediately gets up, trying to find who said that. Yikes man, it's the Dragon King's head. He calls out to the girl, saying he's right there. The king says that although he doesn't know why he appeared there, much less in that form, he's sure his meeting with Garuda was not by chance. Garuda is completely confused. What do you mean the head is talking? The Dragon King warns that if she wants revenge, he can help. The girl asks how. The king says he'll tell her, but first, could she maybe just pick him up real quick? Picking up the head and starting to shake it to get the water out, she asks what the plan is. Before speaking, the Dragon King tells her to stop and begins to exude his aura. Seeing such a dense aura, the girl gets a fright. She thinks that aura is terrifying and that he is definitely a much stronger dragon than her brother. Yeah, guys, she still hasn't realized that's the Dragon King. The head says that, as she can see, he is on the brink of his end and that to continue living, he will need that body. The girl asks if he's talking about her brother's body, and the king confirms it. If she gives him that body, he will help her with her revenge. Garuda no longer has any feelings for her brother's empty body, so she doesn't care, as long as it can help with her revenge. So, she says she agrees. Smiling, the Dragon King says then the deal is done. He comments that the body has the superior bloodline and is very strong, making it perfect for him to inhabit. The Dragon King activates his fusion ability, and then his plundering technique. With that, what was once the Earth Dragon begins to transform into the Dragon King's body. After a while, there he is, standing, saying he will help the girl as promised, but first he needs to recover and regain his strength. He tries to use his spatial tunnel technique, but unfortunately, it disperses. The Dragon King thinks that, as expected, his technique was stolen. He swears that no matter who the unlucky jerk who did this is, he will find them and seek revenge. Since he can't use the portal, he'll have to walk. Garuda follows behind, asking where he's going with her brother's body. During the battle the MC didn't participate in, the main insect army met the Dragon General's army. As soon as the two sides met, the battle began without hesitation. The two sides fought for 2 days, but there was still no winner. However, on the 3rd day, the Allied force finally arrived on the battlefield. The Red Beetle comments that the general is still there. BLOY says that it seems the battle isn't over yet and that they arrived just in time. BLOY announces she will lead the troops on the flank. That would be the one and only final battle, a certain victory, so to speak. One of the dragons comments that it seems an army of insects is attacking from the flank and that, to make matters worse, they seem to be the great generals. The poor enemy general has no idea where those reinforcements came from. After some time back at the king's meeting place, one of the queens is asking about the result of the final battle. Another king says that, thank goodness, it was a victory. That dragon general used his subordinates as a shield as soon as he saw the reinforcements arriving. He fled alone without even hesitating, not caring about his army at all. One of the kings says he's a scumbag, another agrees, saying it's a shame, because if they had captured him, they could have used his flesh and blood to train several strong generals. RMC, on the other hand, is thinking that, thank goodness, the territory was reconquered, but that these kings are still greedy, wanting the general's flesh. The Mother Queen asks how the spoils of war will be distributed, announcing that all gains from the Yellow Wasp clan will be credited to young Xiaofeng. She says he is already a qualified king and cannot stay forever in that small, insect-controlled forest on the border. The boy, of course, immediately thanks his mother, and she says it was nothing, but that managing a territory is no easy task. The other queen says the same thing half of the black wasps' gains go to young Xiaofeng. Our hero asks why his aunt is doing this, giving him half of her gains. The queen tells him not to worry, because in the future, he will have to take care of Weiwei. He doesn't quite get it at first. What does he mean he'll have to take care of Weiwei? The other kings comment that, indeed, the MC has gained a lot of territory and will need many subjects. They decide to send him a large number of citizens they rescued from the dragons. Our hero thanks them very much, but says he can't accept. The generals say he doesn't need to be modest, that it's all fine and he deserves it. So, our little MC is over the moon. Now, this means that in the future, he will not only have millions of acres of land, but also millions of subjects. But there's a catch: the kings only did this because they offended the two queens last time and now need to please them. Going out to talk with his mother, the queen says she heard the MC played a very important role in the battle, but he says no, it was thanks to his citizens, all thanks to his little town. The queen is surprised. What does he mean he has a town? He replies that before they went to war, he managed to build a town in the forest that, although not very prosperous, has plenty of food and clothing. The mother says she wants to go take a look. He says okay, they can go there, as it's about a half-day's journey from there. Arriving at the MC's little town, we see the armored dragon building a bridge. Man, these people are very advanced. However, he is suddenly surrounded. The wasps tell him to prepare for battle, saying this will be his end. Our hero, down below, desperately asks them not to attack. The queen doesn't understand and asks why not, since that's a dragon beast. He says no, that he's actually one of his subordinates and is not dangerous. The queen says that dragon beasts are enemies of the insects and asks how he can have a dragon as a subordinate. He explains that at first, he was just planning to use him to get information and distract the enemy, but that he somehow won his loyalty. The queen says that's incredible, sensational, worthy of her son who managed to subdue a dragon. He's relieved his mother didn't make a fuss about it, otherwise it would have been goodbye for the little dragon. Walking through the town, the mother comments that he achieved this scale in just a few months, which is remarkable. She sees the citizens offering fruit, but he says no, they can eat it themselves now. Seeing this, the mother comments that he is well loved by his people. He says yes, but they are more excited about the appearance of the mother queen. Arriving at the MC's little house, we see Weiwei. She's there, ordering her things to be brought inside. The queen arrives, not quite understanding, but greets the girl and asks what she's doing there. Seeing the yellow queen, Weiwei bows. The one who didn't really like her presence there is the MC, who asks why his tools are outside. The girl says she needed space for her things. The mother gets all excited, asking if she's going to live with young Xiaofeng, saying that's great. She says yes, that she'll probably be a bother for a while and hopes the queen doesn't mind. I don't know about the queen, but the MC didn't really like the idea, since he wasn't even consulted. The mother immediately pulls him aside, telling her not to worry and giving the girl permission to stay, because he's still an immature child. As she says goodbye, the mother queen says she feels more at ease, seeing that the MC has many capable subordinates. She even asks them to please take good care of him in the future. Our hero is no fool, right? He knows this is definitely leading to marriage talk. It's not that he has a bad impression of Waiwei, but it's strange to think that Princess Waiwei is Princess Vivi with such different personalities. The queen says she just doesn't understand how he increased his strength so much and how his old subordinates evolved so much. She asks if he used a special method, and he says yes. She says she understands, but that he shouldn't let his guard down because if his force has a lot of power but little skill, it's the same as growing up without knowing how to walk. In other words, get to training your troops properly. He doesn't need to be sad, because he has good brute strength there. He just needs to refine it. Turning to the mantis, she asks if the two of them haven't met before at the queen's palace. Calling her Your Majesty, the mantis says yes. The mother notices that she was able to master her own power very quickly, as expected from the mantis clan. She says this clan was once one of the strongest tribes in the past and that, certainly, the girl will have a promising future. The mantis thanks her for the compliments. Finally, she says that they all serve under her son's command and that he is lucky to have them all to assist him. Now that the boy has his own country, she hopes everyone there will help him maintain peace and defend his people. With that, the queen leaves, leaving the MC and the princess behind. Yang Xiaofeng may look happy, but he's definitely not. He got his mother's message, not just him, but his subordinates need to get stronger if he really wants to maintain peace in a gigantic nation. Now in her human body, Waiwei asks the MC if he would now say that they are together. Together, he asks if they aren't always together. The princess confirms, saying they met twice on the same unknown planet and that, let's say, the two of them have a shared destiny. Our hero says destiny or not, he doesn't know. But one thing is for sure, if they don't get out of there as fast as possible, both of their bodies will end up in a dragon's belly. Suddenly, he shows off his new gigantic mecha that he made, telling the princess it's ready and she can get in to check it out. The kid simply made a 6-star mecha for the princess, nicknamed the Twilight Princess. Yeah? You can understand why, because of the color, right? Looking at the mecha's data, the MC sees that everything is correct and all operational data is stable. He finally did it, and thank goodness just in time. The princess says there are tens of thousands of dragon beasts out there, and asks how they are going to get out. She asks if these 2 mecha armors will be enough. Our hero tells her to relax, because everything is fine and he's already made preparations for their escape. He tells her to look behind her, and turning around, she asks if that's a missile. The boy says that's his trump card, not an ordinary missile, and that he named it the Volcano Awakener. From what he observed, the cave they're in is located beneath a dormant volcano, literally filled with high-temperature magma. As soon as the Awakener wakes up the volcano, the dragon beasts will start running desperately, and that's when they'll be able to escape. The princess says he's a genius, because not only will he manage to escape, but he'll also eliminate several dragons. The boy brushes off the compliments, saying they don't have much time and they better start running. Sometime later, we see the fun beginning. Immediately, the guardian dragon feels the volcano's vibration. He gets up quickly and wonders what the heck is going on. That's when he sees several lower-level dragons running towards him, saying the volcano has woken up. The guardian doesn't run. In fact, the first thing that comes to his mind is that the Dragon King is still in there. I mean, at least that's what he thinks. In the middle of the confusion, to disguise themselves, the MC and Waiwei hide among the rubble. Seeing everyone run, one little dragon was left behind. But since he was left behind, he'll be the first to be eliminated. Seeing who hurt him, he doesn't understand a thing. How is there a human in there? Immediately, the other dragon beasts also stop. They might get taken out by the volcano, but the little MC is going with them. What they don't quite understand is where the mecha armors came from. The princess says that, unfortunately, they won't have time to find out. The girl immediately starts whipping everyone. Yang Xiaofeng notices that more troops are coming from another tunnel. But this time it won't be like the last. Let's just say he has new toys. He manages to fire 2 lasers from the armor, bringing down the entire cave ceiling. With the impacts, the ceiling starts to crumble, and ends up burying not only the dragons but also sealing the tunnel. Yang Xiaofeng tells Waiwei to stick to the plan. As soon as they get out and reach the planet's atmosphere, they'll be safe. But until then, you better run like crazy, my friend. Outside, we see there are a lot of dragons flying around. The princess didn't expect the number of dragons outside to be so large, but the MC tells her not to stop and to keep moving forward. Very scared, the girl says she understands. Alright, so in the next chapter, things go down a little differently. Leaving our MC and Vivi outside for a sec, the focus shifts to a massive explosion that just went off inside the cave. The one making all that noise was that guardian dragon who came looking for his master since the cave was filling up with lava. Except when he got there, let's just say his master wasn't exactly on this plane of existence anymore. With that, the guardian dragon is in total shock, simply unable to believe that the Dragon King just vanished like that out of nowhere. Just then, one of the servants comes running in, warning that things are getting ugly outside because a human mecha has invaded and blocked their only way out. Right away, the big boss dragon starts getting stressed and wants to know which knucklehead was in charge of watching the human. Full of himself, one of the little monsters raises his hand all proud, assuring him that he was responsible and that the human was still under his control. The problem is, when he shows off the human, it turns out to be just one of Vivi's dolls. His nerves completely shot, the boss gets furious at the screw-up and, without a second thought, gives him a swipe that smashes the idiot into the ground. Furious, the chief warns that they've all been tricked by a human and not a single one of them even noticed. Meanwhile, the focus snaps back outside, where Vivi and Yang Xiaofeng are just lighting everyone up without mercy. The battle between the mechs is pretty intense, with our MC giving it his all to break through the enemy's defense. Watching from the best seats in the house, two gigantic dragons observe the fight. One of them, an ancient dragon, asks where the heck these mechs came from. Without much patience, the lightning serpent, who's way more practical, says it's not the time to waste on questions, it's better to just finish them off and figure out the details later. Taking the cue, a whole bunch of dragons in the sky launch a barrage of fire right at our MC and Vivi. Our MC dodges as best he can, trying to block some of the attacks. Seeing an opening, Vivi seizes the opportunity to go after their rivals. As soon as she gets to the top, she just lets loose on everyone with just a few cracks of her whip. There's no one left to tell the tale. Watching all his allies get taken down, the ancient dragon starts to get nervous and tells the humans to stop this nonsense. With a smirk, Vivi asks why she would stop now that the fun has just begun, reminding them that nobody stopped when they attacked her base. If they mess with the princess, now they have to face the music. With that said, her drones start to attack, mercilessly piercing through the first ancient dragon. The second one doesn't meet a much different fate, getting attacked and then promptly skewered. Filled with rage, Vivi ends up giving both of them a serious beatdown. Our little MC, watching the whole thing, swells with pride, thinking that nothing less was expected from a mecha he built himself. But Vivi, who's also hearing all this praise, totally rains on his parade and says the credit goes entirely to her combat skills, not Yang Xiaofeng's creation. Their little argument is cut short by a gigantic explosion from the volcano. That head honcho dragon realized that since there was no way out, he would just have to make a new one himself. Staring face to face with the MC, he asks where those scoundrels hid the Dragon King. Oh, if only he knew what really happened. Without a moment's hesitation, he fires a massive energy blast. The attack heads straight for the MC and Vivi, and it's so huge that it's definitely going to hit them both. Vivi immediately senses the danger and starts to worry, because the attack's area of effect is too wide to dodge in time. But that's when our MC, who is farther away, launches his mechanical hand to grab the girl. The cable latches perfectly onto the shoulder of Vivi's mecha. Right after, he yanks her with all his might, but he gives a warning whoever can get out of the blast zone should, because even he knows he's not going to make it out. Being pulled by force, the girl can barely control her own mecha. By the time she finally realizes what's happening, the MC has already been swallowed by the explosion. After that massive blast, the attack finally begins to fade. Seeing her friend's mecha heavily damaged, the girl starts screaming for her companion in despair. But that's when, from the middle of the explosion, something comes flying out. To everyone's relief, it's the MC in his wasp form. The kid was smart and switched bodies just before the attack hit. As he flies, the MC tells Vivi to start running as fast as she can because the giant creature is closing in. And he's not kidding, the big red dragon is coming in hot at an insane speed. However, when he reaches the blast area, he starts looking for the humans but can't find anyone. Just behind, Yang Xiaofeng tries to use the smoke to hide and escape, but the problem is he has to carry Vivi. Turns out the girl is pretty heavy, so the getaway is a lot harder than planned. Spotting two drones flying by, the red dragon gets confused and yells that he found them. Believing his own lie, he starts running and chasing after the drones. The girl warns that the dragon was the one from inside the cave and that if they had stopped to fight, they wouldn't have lasted a second. But hold on, Vivi isn't just there to point out problems. She actually has a plan. If they climb higher, they'll reach the ozone layer, and after that, she'll handle the rest. The MC agrees and, once again, switches back to his human form. To keep the MC from falling, Vivi reaches out and grabs the guy. Appearing outside the cockpit, she points and tells Yang Xiaofeng that the entrance is right over there. After a while, the scene changes, and the MC is now inside the mecha's cockpit, indicating that they are already floating in space. That's right, the plane worked, and the mecha is now in outer space. They are finally getting away from that dangerous planet. The girl asks the MC if they can travel back to the Milky Way, but he explains that, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. According to him, they are several light years away from that galaxy, and with their current thrusters, the distance is way too far to make that jump. The only thing they can do is send out a distress signal and hope someone finds him in a few weeks, or maybe a few years. No pressure, they just have to pray. A lot. When he turns around, the MC notices his partner has completely passed out. Looks like she wasn't too worried about the whole stuck here for years part. But that's okay, she worked hard, and it was a really long day, so she deserves some rest. The scene then shifts completely, now showing Vivi in her wasp form. Her little MC is there too, eating something that Vivi handed him. The girl asks what he thinks of the food, and the MC replies that it's actually really tasty. While the two of them are chatting, a little group of spies is watching from a distance. Our buddy Xiaomuo comments that those two have been getting pretty close lately, finding the whole situation a bit weird. Little Xiaomuo mentions he's dying to know what's been going on, because for a while now, those two have been attached at the hip. His little sister Yu also says she doesn't get it at all. Our girl Feng Li, the praying mantis, explains that most girls are into strength, and after spending so much time with Yang Xiaofeng, Vivi must have been totally won over by his charm. The two mas are totally impressed with the explanation, saying that it actually makes a ton of sense. That's when Xiao Miwo starts bragging, saying he's a little more experienced when it comes to relationships, but just a tiny bit. Suddenly, two more wasps appear, happily calling out to young Xiaofeng. Our little MC, thrilled to see them, asks what they're doing there. The two explain that the carnivorous insects are almost out of food, and to make matters worse, there are 500,000 refugees and not enough people to manage everyone. Long story short, it's a total mess. Yang Xiaofeng takes in the problem and asks for a moment to think, promising he'll come up with a solution. Vivi quickly chimes in, suggesting they form squads to hunt dragons on the border, which would kill two birds with one stone, solving the food problem and reducing monster attacks. As for the manpower shortage, she proposes that the insects themselves promote elders to manage their own affairs. The two messengers are blown away by the ideas, saying there couldn't be a better way to solve the problems. As they leave, one of them says she's going to share the good news with Captain B. Eli. With the two of them alone, our MC comments that he didn't expect Vivi to be so good at this stuff. The girl explains that as the heir to a galactic royal family, governing is basically a required course. Getting a little cocky, the girl asks if Yang Xiaofeng has been captivated by her, and the guy replies that yes, the princess is a huge talent and everyone will be counting on her. Hearing that, of course, leaves Vivi all flustered. Our scene then returns to outer space. Amecha releases several spheres that begin to open up in the vacuum. Each one reveals itself to be a communications satellite. These are the little toys that will start broadcasting the distress signal. Vivi, who's still in the dark, asks what those things are. The MC explains they're satellites that will send out their SOS, and now all they can do is wait. Pressing a button, the guy shows that the cockpit has everything they need to survive. Taking off his suit, the guy celebrates that the endless work is finally over and says he's going to take a shower to relax. Picking his clothes up off the floor, our girl Evie starts complaining that he can't just leave his stuff lying around. However, while grabbing the clothes, she notices there's something else on the floor. Being the curious type, she immediately picks up the little read object, wondering what it could be. As soon as she opens the small notebook, she reads the first entry, which tells the guy to find a wife. Man, Vivi is shocked to see that, unable to believe what's in the notebook, even though it was nothing crazy, just orders from the MC's dad. The kid then gets out of the shower, all chill, and even asks the girl if she wants to take a shower too. All embarrassed, she stammers back that she'll take one in a little bit. The guy finds it weird and even asks why she's holding his clothes. Vivi makes up an excuse that she saw them on the floor and was afraid they'd get dirty. Handing him the clothes, she says that now he can cover up. Yang Xiaofeng finds her behavior a bit strange, noticing that she seems a little embarrassed. Well, he didn't quite get what happened, but he just lets it go. Turning around, he says she doesn't need to worry about what's in that notebook because, at the end of the day, she's a real princess and he's just an employee. When they get back to the Empire, they'll each go their separate ways. The girl tells him she doesn't care about his position and asks why he's so worried about it. Besides, that note in the journal about having 10 wives is a bit over the top, a really high number, don't you think? The instant she says that, the MC whips around surprised. He definitely didn't expect her to have read that specific part. Seeing the MC walking toward her, the girl asks if he's willing to do it, if he's going to go along with the idea from the notebook. With the two of them super close, the girl asks if he's sure, if he's really going to leave 10 wives behind. The MC confirms that yes, he is. The girl then says that, before anything else, they need to agree on the terms, the, let's say, bureaucratic side of love. She lays down her conditions. Her money stays her money. His money will also be her money. And the old debt is still on the table yet, the one he racked up when he knocked her over way back at the beginning. The MC says he needs to think long and hard about that and starts to back away. Seeing this, the girl gives in, saying he doesn't have to pay what he owes, that she'll forgive the debt. The kid then gets all excited, saying they'll get started as soon as possible. But get started on what? Exactly, MC? Whoa, nobody saw that coming. Against all odds, the kid just tosses the princess on the bed, saying since they've got nothing else to do, they might as well start working on the family part. With a goal to finish the job in 10 years, all the girl can do is complain that he's rushing things. The story then skips ahead a bit to spare us the details. Now, we see the MC chilling in bed, thinking about how great it is to have a wife and finally understanding why so many guys want to get married. While the kid relaxes, Vivi is hiding under the covers, thinking that the MC might be short, but the guy's got stamina for days. The girl explains that in the Galactic Empire, you need to have at least the title of a first-class viscount to marry into royalty. She can even arrange a high-ranking position for him, but he'll have to earn the title himself. With a smile, the guy thanks Vivi for her help. The girl then asks what kind of job he'd like. Yang Xiaofeng explains that since he's got an engineering background, something related to military hardware would be perfect. Come to think of it, they were lucky to make it out of this whole adventure alive. If the base's equipment had actually been working, they wouldn't have had to go through so much trouble. The girl then suggests he become the head of the military hardware department. RMC, who's no dummy, immediately agrees to a sweet gig like that. The princess says she'll sort everything out when they get back and gives her new hobby a little peck on the cheek. She tells him she'll be waiting for the future head of the military department to earn enough merits to officially marry her. The guy promises he'll work really hard, as he invites her to come lie down with him for a little longer. The story jumps ahead a few months, and the mecha is still out there, floating alone in space. But that's when a gigantic ship suddenly appears. Looks like the rescue has finally arrived. Several smaller mechs start pouring out of the mothership, flying toward our MC's mecha. One of the pilots reports that the border patrol picked up a distress signal and of course, they came to check out the source immediately. The pilot finishes the report by saying the signal source was an unregistered mecha and that the rescue was completed successfully. After a while, they arrive at a massive space station identified as the Lupus Sector Transit Station. The giant ship lands on the platform, and meanwhile, RMC and the girl walk down the ramp. One of the soldiers heads toward them, saying he's very happy to see the princess, especially since she's okay. At that moment, the princess recognizes the soldier and calls him by his name Li Qiang. Apparently, this is the same soldier from the beginning who sacrificed himself for the princess. Looks like he survived, and now he's apologizing for not being able to protect her. Vivi, now with a royal posture, says it wasn't his fault. As she walks, the MC follows right behind her, looking all smug. The soldier gives the MC a suspicious look, noticing that his whole vibe is completely different. Without a second thought, he grabs the kid's shoulder and tells him to stop right there. The soldier asks if he isn't that primitive kid, seeming surprised that he's still alive. Sarcastically, the MC replies that he's doing great, but no thanks to him. The princess steps in, telling Li Qiang to stop and informing him that Yang Xiaofeng is part of her crew now. The soldier obeys without question, while the MC, well, he just keeps acting like he owns the place. The cheeky guy even pats the soldier on the shoulder and tells him to work hard, promising he'll take good care of him in the future. Li Qiang warns that even if something happened between him and the princess, this isn't a world that people like the MC can just waltz into, but if the guy is so confident, maybe they can settle it with a fight. In the next scene, we see that the MC accepted the challenge. However, things aren't going so well for Li Qiang. He believed that since he was a prodigy, he'd be able to give the MC a serious beatdown. But he tries, and tries, and tries, and the kid just dodges every single blow. After a while, all we see is Li Qiang on the ground, all banged up with his sword broken. And that was with the MC taking it easy on him. A little later, the long-haired guy is already in a recovery chamber. Inside the pod, the kid is just there deep in thought, unable to believe he lost. Now fully recovered, the dude gets out of the tank, still wondering where a simple earthling got so much power. He thinks that with the princess on her own, he'd better go help her, but he admits that having a strong ally like the MC would be a huge help. So he decides he needs to improve his relationship with the MC, because in the future, the two of them could be great allies. But that's when, while walking down a hallway, he sees the MC all cozy with the princess, with the rascal even asking if she's stopping by his room tonight. As soon as he hears that, Li Qiang is in total shock, unable to believe what he just heard. The long-haired guy approaches and tells the MC to stop right there. He warns him that disrespecting the royal family is a serious crime. The MC then pulls the princess closer, asking what the penalty for that would be. But the princess immediately pinches his cheek and tells him to cut it out, warning him to get a grip, or things are gonna get messy. The MC starts to walk away, pretty annoyed, complaining that it was bad luck running into the long-haired guy there. Li Qiang turns to the princess and asks if she has something going on with the MC. The princess answers with another question, wanting to know if he still thinks the MC is completely worthless. Well, the long-haired guy admits the MC is strong, but reminds her that an Earthling's lifespan is pretty short. The princess simply says that the MC is someone she chose, that her decision is final, and she's not changing her mind. Anyway, she declares that's enough of this conversation. In the next scene, we see a fleet of ships and mechs in battle formation. Those miserable dragons are attacking again. The ships begin to open fire on the creatures. Still, the number of enemies is insane, and they can't stop them all. To make things worse, that big red dragon is in the fight too. With a single shot, he wipes out like 5 ships at once. In the control room, the operator starts to panic, reporting that the station is under attack. They've suffered heavy losses, and they need reinforcements urgently. Our scene then changes, and we see Princess Waiwei sitting at a table with her brothers. One of them asks about the creatures known as dragon beasts. Princess Fei Fei, the one with blue hair, asks if they were the ones who attacked, while Wang Feng, the one with pink hair, says he looked into it and the real problem was corruption at the station. The other prince, named Wesley, says those creatures are no match for their defenses and could have only gotten through because of the corruption. Meanwhile, the MC in the back asks who these two arrogant guys are. Li Qiang informs him they are the princess's brothers, Prince Feng and Prince Wesley. Turns out, the siblings don't get along very well. Even though they share the same blood, they don't have the same mother. The MC then asks if they're half-brothers, and Li Qiang replies that's exactly right. The princess's father has 3 wives, and Princess Waiwei is the 4th daughter of one of them. Pulling up the king's track record, it turns out he has no less than 70 children. Yep, the Galactic Emperor likes to populate the universe. The problem is, all descendants are eligible to inherit the throne, which turns any family get-together into an all-out battle royale. The MC is blown away by how many relatives his future wife has. Can you imagine the wedding? There wouldn't be room for everyone. Back at the table, Waiwei says they can't underestimate the creatures and that any slip-up with them could be a huge danger. Wang Feng scoffs, saying his little sister got scared, and even offers to send a fleet to wipe out the creatures. Wesley agrees with his brother, saying they're just a bunch of animals, but that his little sister doesn't need to worry because they'll make sure to get revenge. Suddenly, Wang Feng notices the MC and Li Qiang. He's used to Li Qiang, but he wonders who the short guy is and what he's doing there. Realizing he's an Earthling, he finds it absurd that his sister has a primitive as a subordinate. After ripping into the MC, he shifts his focus to Li Qiang, knowing full well that he is his sister's top warrior. The scheming prince tries to convince Li Qiang to switch sides, promising better treatment and more cash, but the swordsman refuses the offer. And Feng insists, saying he has way more resources than his sister, but the guy just thanks him and says no again. Annoyed, the prince ends up calling the guy a drag, and Fei Fei steps in to try to calm the situation. She approaches the knight and apologizes for her brother, saying that idiot is an immature brat who always tries to poach talented people. Li Qiang says it's okay, but that she's being way too kind. The girl insists, continuing to apologize on her brother's behalf, but the knight says he would never dare accept an apology from her. Not paying much attention, the sister runs after her idiot brother. And finally, the two of them leave the area. The MC then gives Li Qiang a nudge and says if he keeps staring like that, he's going to start drooling, and for good reason, because Princess Fei Fei is a total knockout too. Our little MC then asks if he likes the princess, and the swordsman, a bit embarrassed, stammers out a no. The MC says he doesn't have to hide it and that if he didn't notice, his gaze was practically on fire. He continues, saying he doesn't need to be ashamed and that he totally gets what the swordsman is feeling. In fact, the MC even supports him, telling him to go for it and try his luck. As the princess's brothers walk away, Waiwei grumbles that they can just wait and see what happens, because all that arrogance is going to be their downfall. Turning to the princess, Li Qiang asks how things are, but she says that, for now, they're all on their own. The MC, being the practical one, asks if the princess can't just call in a fleet, since, at the end of the day, she's also part of the royal family. The princess gets a little awkward, not really sure how to answer. At that moment, Li Qiang explains that the royal family doesn't have as much power as the MC thinks and that they'll need to build their own force. The most her father gave them was a space station for each heir, but hers kinda bit the dust. Currently, the only support the princess has is from her grandfather, who is a viscount himself, but that's not enough to fund an entire fleet. The MC is surprised and even thinks that, in the end, Li Qiang is also related to Waiwei. It's a small world, even in space. Deep in thought, the MC figures that if they have money, he can buy some second-hand ships and MacGyver them, work some of that classic DIY magic. Holding the MC's hand, the princess says she has money 100 million to be exact. Pocket change, right? Making that little puppy dog face. She says the MC has to help, because he's the only one she has right now to do this. The MC gets all flustered by his princess's request. Since she's asking so nicely, the kid activates his Satoru Goyo mode and guarantees he'll get her a fleet. Not just any fleet, but the best one ever. Lee Kyung asks the princess if she really thinks this is going to work. The girl replies yes, absolutely, because the one in charge is our little MC. Besides, after he defeated the creatures, she had the MC's background investigated, and guess what she found? Looking over the documents, Lee Kyung is surprised to discover that the MC is a student of a very important professor. The princess comments that they got pretty lucky, since no one else saw the kid's potential. After a while, the group arrives at a gigantic supply station in the middle of space, Lupus 82657. Inside, a young woman introduces herself as their guide and asks everyone to follow her. The first thing she shows them is a red ship, explaining that this model cost 47 million. The MC, being more down to earth, asks if she has any older and, more importantly, cheaper models. So, she offers another, more affordable option. But even though the ship is cheaper, it's full of problems and would still cost 23 million. The MC replies that he needs to think for a bit. After a while, he gets an idea and asks the guide if she has separate ship parts, and the woman confirms that she does. She then asks if he's thinking of building his own battleship from scratch. Without confirming, the MC asks to see transport ships, wanting to know if they're good enough to be modified. The guide asks if he's really thinking of starting from zero. Trying to be helpful, she suggests that the best option would be to buy a few transport ships and, after raising some money, come back to buy battleships. Apparently, that solution wasn't very well received. Hours go by, and the guide is now visibly exhausted. The MC comments that with the money they have, they could buy 3 warships or 5 modified transport ships, but they would be a lot weaker. Our dear Waiwei feels bad and apologizes for not having more money. The MC says it's okay, that he's the one who should be sorry for having such an unrealistic idea. But that's when, suddenly, a spatial distortion appears outside the station. Several warships emerge from it, but they all look pretty banged up. In reality, the fleet that just arrived is completely wrecked. These are the guys who were in the middle of the war. Seeing the scene, the MC asks if those ships were just in a fight. Lee Kyung recognizes the fleet instantly, saying it belongs to Prince Wesley. Waiwei actually enjoys the news, seeing her arrogant brother finally get what was coming to him. The princess turns to the group and tells them to get a closer look. The MC analyzes the ships and realizes that even though they're an older model, they aren't much worse than the current ships. Waiwei then asks if he really has the ability to fix those ships. The MC replies that it's not too difficult to repair them, but the damage is extensive, so it's going to be a ton of work. Even so, he asks the princess to buy all the destroyed ships. The princess thinks he's gone crazy, but the MC just asks her to trust him. His plan is pure jury rigging, take the good parts from the most destroyed ships and use them to fix the less damaged ones. The princess finally gets the kid's angle and even cracks a little smile. The girl says goodbye to the group for a moment, saying she'll be right back. Meanwhile, Prince Wesley is fuming about his fleet, yelling at his subordinate about the 3-month repair estimate. The man explains that the station only has 5 repair docks and that it will take at least 2 months. He suggests that if the prince needs ships urgently, it's better to just buy new ones. Wesley replies that if he had the money, he would have already done that. Suddenly, Princess Waiwei comes running up, calling for her brother. First, Prince Wesley asks what his sister is doing there, and the girl asks if that fleet outside is his. The redhead, a little embarrassed, asks if his younger sister came all this way to laugh at him, but she says no. She argues that they're blood siblings and that if the royal court saw that he lost his base, everyone would look down on him. Curious, she asks if his base was also attacked by those creatures. Wesley says he's not sure why, but the creatures in that region suddenly became more aggressive. The girl reminds him that she warned him about the danger, but he didn't want to listen. The dope admits the creatures were way more dangerous than he imagined, but he still managed to get rid of them. Princess Waiwei offers her money to her brother, saying she has 100 million that was meant for buying transport ships, but that he can use it. Wesley gets thoughtful, wondering if he should really accept it, since that's all the money his sister has to start over. Actually, Waiwei has something else in mind clearly. She doesn't want to just give her money away for free. Since her brother doesn't want her to accept the money, the princess suggests he sell the destroyed ships to her instead. Thinking he's getting a great deal, the kid agrees on the spot, selling the ships to his sister for half price. Waiwei still tries to argue that the price is too low, even with the ships being damaged. The big shot says she's helping her brother out in a tough spot and that he'd never let her get a bad deal. Pretending to be reluctant, the princess then accepts the offer. Back with the MC and Lee Kyung, the princess approaches, and the two ask how the conversation went. The princess says it didn't go very well because unfortunately, she didn't have enough money. The two of them tell her not to worry, as they were already expecting that. Our MC says that wasn't even part of the plan, so they just need to stick with what they agreed on before. But that's when the princess asks what the two of them are doing. She never said she failed, she just said it didn't go very well, which is different. That's when she pulls out a document showing the transfer contract for 8 ships for only 40 million. And on top of that, her dear brother borrowed the other 40 million, with interest. Super proud, she tells everyone to shout her name out loud, and clearly, the MC starts praising his goddess. After a while, the guy is already back in his wasp form. Raid 1 and the armored dragon are bringing some parts, and the MC says they can just leave them anywhere. Xiao Muo and his sister Yu, seeing that giant pink thing, ask what the heck it is. The MC replies that it's a warship. Xiao Muo points and asks specifically what that thing is. The MC explains that it's the ship's main war cannon, like a giant version of his ray gun. Little Xiao Muo asks, is something that big is just for shooting beams? The MC says yes, but the destructive power of that thing is on another level, and they have to see it to believe it. Yu then asks if they can test it, and the MC says yes, but asks for just a second. Suddenly, a crowd gathers nearby, with no one really understanding what's going on. One of the wasps asks what's happening, and the other says there's going to be a weapon test, a new ray cannon. Our friend Feng Li is a bit confused, but she thinks the name ray can sounds pretty cool. Up top, Yang Xiaofeng explains that as soon as the power source is connected, the cannon will be ready to fire. After powering it on, the cannon is aimed at a mountain more than a kilometer away. The weapon fires with astonishing force, and the explosion is even bigger. The crazy part is that the shot didn't just blow up the peak, it went straight through the entire mountain. The praying mantis in Red 1 are the first to be impressed. The firepower of that weapon is truly on another level. Feng Li is also left speechless, commenting that it's impossible. Our dear mosquito woman asks if her comrades are seeing the same thing she is. Xiao Muo's group is also standing there, stunned, commenting that not even a 6-star beast could cause that much damage. Our little MC turns and asks if they want to see another shot, and their leader comments that it was pretty cool. Out of nowhere, someone shouts for the Insect King. Yang Xiaofeng turns and sees everyone kneeling. He asks what's going on, and Reed 1 says he came to ask for time off to train. The MC is surprised and asks why they need time off all of a sudden. Red 1 explains that they've realized they aren't strong enough and need to train to be ready to help their king. With his permission, several insects take off toward their training. The MC is still finding the situation a little weird. To make things worse, Xiao Muo says he wants to go train too. Running awkwardly, he apologizes for being so weak, clearly shaken by the cannon's power. Our MC is less speechless, not knowing what to say to console everyone, since most of them left. After a while, the scene changes, and we see the MC with his new project, asking everyone what they think. The kid explains that at the current pace, the remaining 5 ships will be ready in just 1 month. Li Qiang asks how the MC managed to do that in just 1 week, since there were 8 ships in total. The most impressive part is that they didn't have any heavy equipment, but the MC brags, saying he even painted it in his princess's favorite color. Our MC and the princess start celebrating that they now have their very own warship. But that's when, suddenly, an emergency alert pops up in front of Li Qiang. The alert carries a mandatory broadcast from the Orion Galaxy. In the transmission, a reporter says that the Orion Galaxy has suffered a large-scale attack by cosmic monsters. I repeat, all of Orion's warships have been summoned to fight back against these creatures. The man on the screen promises that everyone who participates in the battle will be treated as knights of the Empire, receiving titles and land according to their merits. Someone else, who's chilling on a beach, comments that this yogi guy seems pretty generous. The man ends his speech by saying it's time to show those monsters what humanity is really made of. But to see that, you guys are gonna have to smash the like button and blow up the comments asking for the next part.